On this episode of the Nugget Project, we're going to clean the underneath of this car, fix up all the control components, and hopefully get it back on its wheels. Good morning, friends. It is a very chilly morning here in Melbourne. The car was all iced over when I took the kids to daycare. So what's the one thing I don't want to do today? Lay on a concrete floor, but that's what we're going to be doing. So in this episode, I am going to be going under this car and doing something I've been pretty much dreading, and that is stripping the underneath of the car. So we're not stripping it back to bare metal, there's no need for that, but there is a bunch of dirt and grime, there's a bit of surface rust, some of the sound end of the underbody coating is flaked a bit where we've had to do weld repairs and rust repairs. Obviously that's burnt the sound ending, so I'm going to strip all that crap off and just get it ready to basically recoat it. It's just not a fun process, and there's only really one way to do it. It's just, I mean, there's multiple ways to do it. You can send it off and get someone else to do it, but yes, I don't have that money, so I'm going to do it. So what we're going to use, all the main things we're going to be using. So grinder with a wire wheel. This thing does work very well. It's very cool. Little wire wheels that I can use with my drill for tight spots. And then these stripper discs. These are actually fantastic. If you haven't used these before, they're really good. The downside is they don't last long, and if you do hit any sharp parts of the car, like corners of metal and stuff, they disintegrate pretty quickly. But for getting stuff off the surface, like for stripping back a paint panel, these things are brilliant. They're just not that cheap. They're like 25 bucks each or something. You can get them cheaper some spots, but like if you go to Bunnings or Total Tools or whatever, yeah, you'll be paying sort of 20, 25 bucks for one of those. But very good things. So we'll use that on some spots. Yeah, basically strip it all back and then get ready to coat it. So I've still got to get the undercoating. I'll get that soon. But what we're going to do is once it's all stripped back, I'll seal it with this stuff. So this stuff was recommended to me by my mate Ian Kelly. So Ian is a journalist for Street Machine, and he works with Mighty Car Mods and all the big names. He's a lovely guy, very knowledgeable in the car industry and completely batshit crazy. Love you, Ian. He recommends this stuff. He's in cahoots with this company. It's called EasyFoss. He's used it on his car. He's got a brilliant, I can't remember. It's a big Yank tank. It's green. You would have seen it in Mighty Car Mods, and it's been a Street Machine. It's a brilliant car with Nellis in it. It's awesome. Anyway, he used this stuff. So this is EasyFoss. This is basically a can of like sealant. So we use this once everything's stripped back to stop things rusting and getting worse. Spray this over it. It's a clear coat, and that'll seal everything in, and it's a bonding agent too, so it helps paint over the top. Really good stuff. So I'm looking forward to using that. Also got one of these. So this is proper rust treatment. So even though the rest of the rust is kind of done on this car, my engine mounts and a bunch of other stuff is pretty bad. So we'll use this to help strip back all that rust and get it ready to go back in the car. Right, no more delaying. Let's get under here. The first thing I need to do though is get under. There are some brake lines and some mounts and things under there that I do need to get rid of. So we'll get all that out first, and then we can start stripping the underneath of this car. Oh, what a... Okay, now before we get too excited under here and start stripping everything back, there is some things we need to do. Now, and this will explain why a lot of this stuff takes so long. And people, oh, why does the project car take so long? I'm gonna tell you. So I removed this. This is one of the main support brackets that has our control arms and everything coming off it. I've removed the other side, as you can see it's sitting there. And when I removed it, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts to hold it to the main chassis rail here. This bolt is buggered, so it was actually corroded. It was kind of half fused on, which means that bolt's buggered. So I've got a new one here because I always keep all the bolts when I go to the wreckers, and this will fit. However, that thread is going to be a little bit cactus. So I'm going to have to go through that. I'll find a tap, whatever size that is, M10, whatever. And we're going to have to tap that and make sure that thread is nice and clean, ready for when we put our new bolts in. Now, that's not going to be the only one. I guarantee when I take this off, I'm going to have the same issue. But underneath the car further, if I wiggle under here, oh, the comfort. There is also a couple of broken bolts. I think maybe there's one in the firewall somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it. But there is an actual bolt broken off, so I'm gonna have to get that out. And there's one under the chassis here somewhere. I'm bugging if I can remember where it is. But I'm gonna have to find it And we're gonna have to get that out, obviously, before we go too far with everything. I did get one out when we did our floor repair, because it was in there, so I've got that. But it was another one, so we'll find that in a minute. Also, while I'm under here, I do need to remove all this. So these are the straps for the fuel tank, front and back. I think I'd like to remove those, although they're not really in the way, are they? Because none of this really needs painting. It just needs to clean up. So maybe we can get away with leaving these in. I don't know. This is also the main air line for the vacuum for the brake booster. You can see it comes all the way from the front, all the way up here. Got the light. All the way up here, and then that goes to the engine for vacuum for the brake booster and a couple other things in the engine in the front. So I may need to remove that because obviously I want to paint this whole engine bay, and that's going to be in the way. So we might have to drop that down and take that whole pipe out. At least it's in good condition, which is great. Anyway, let me tap a couple of these threads. We'll fix that thread, and then we'll take off a few of these other bits. There's a brake line here too. I want to get rid of instead of brake line here. I want to remove all those brake lines, and also these are the handbrake cables. So I want to take the handbrake cables out so they're not in the way, so we can get all this painted up. Lots to do. Let's go. Perfect, there we go. Another problem fixed. Okay, that better. Sweet. Look at all this. 40 years of crap. Alright, I'm on my wheelie trolley. The wheels are falling off it because it's crap. Let's get under here and get the rest of this stuff off now. Enjoy. Alright, let's do this. Okay, there's only so many hours you can watch me do this, so I've just skipped ahead the whole thing, but it's not a fun job. Look at, probably can't tell, but that is just a thick layer of mess under there. But slowly going through and stripping out every wheel well. All underneath is like, you know, burnt stuff where I was welding. It's just stripping it all back so we can treat it and coat it. Yuck.
See it all like I'm Elvis, move my hips like I'm Elvis. I don't pitch it, I sell it. Couldn't picture me jealous, turning fans into zealots, tuning in when I tell it. There were 15 people at the gig, saying, oh my God, what fun this is. Did it all, did it right, did it big. Yeah, buddy, we were loving.
So this video's been, what, a few minutes long, and it's pretty much been all day. I just didn't want to show you guys me stripping underneath of the car, but man, my arms are killing me. Just under there with the grinder, just getting all the stuff down. I found a few more bits of surface rust, stuff like that. So I'm just stripping it all back. I just want it to be as clean as possible. It's just, there's so much grot under there. So strip it all back, and then next day off, I'm hoping I have Friday off in a few days. One thing I will show you is down here. This nut here was one of the ones that had a snapped bolt in it. So I tried to get the bolt out, wouldn't work. So what I did is I basically just cut the nut off and welded a new one in. There we go, done. And I think that's all our broken bolts and strip threads, so that's pretty cool. Also, I have taken out all the brake lines. Let me just run into the other garage and show you the pile. So in here we have all these brake lines. Now, the problem with the brake lines are that they were all so rusted and corroded where the hard line joins the soft line. I need to replace the soft lines. They're 40 years old and they are pretty haggard. Unfortunately, where they joined, they were just rusted. They were fused together. There's no way they were ever coming apart. I tried my hardest. They were just rounding off. They were buggered. So we're going to have to recreate 4 of the brake lines, which is a bit crappy. So we've basically got a divider block here, and we've got one that goes off into there, one that goes off into there, and then the same in the back. We've got the long brake line that goes all the way through the chassis and into the back. That one's still good, but then we've got one that goes that way and loops under to that wheel, one that goes and loops under to that wheel. So all 4 of those are going to have to be recreated. Now, yes, I could buy them, but trying to get brake lines is hard, so we're just going to make some, and I'll show you how to make brake lines. It's actually much easier than you'd think if you've got the right tools. So we're going to borrow some tools from work. I might go and get some brake line this week, and yeah, we'll do a video on that after we've coated the underneath of the car, because we'll be ready to put the new lines in. So sick. Anyway, check back on Friday and we'll finish this off. Morning gang, we're back. It's another chilly morning this morning. We're back in the garage. So the underneath of the car is pretty much stripped. I want to do a couple little bits just to clean it up. And then we can use our Easy Foss to seal it all in. And then I need to use this. So this is Sikflex, which is 227. So this is a seam sealer. So all the parts where we've stripped back seam sealer, all the parts I've welded, this seals in all the goodness. So this stops the car leaking basically. And this is the similar stuff they use from the factory. We'll have to do a lot inside the cabin too, where I've done sealing, where I've done rust repairs, also inside the boot and the front. But for now, I just want to do under the car. So you can get this in white and black. I did have another tube of it I've got over there, which is white, because there was no black on the shelf at the time, and I went back and got more, and there's black. So the black's way nicer. I did use the white for inside the water channel underneath the windscreen. But yeah, anyway, we'll finish that tube off and use this. It's all gonna get painted over anyway. So cool, so today we'll do that. And then once that's all done, we're gonna use this. So this is Septone. This is, they call it Sentinel Body Deadener. Basically it's, what do they call it? Corrosion protection, noise deadener, and for underbody of vehicles. So some people were saying use like bed liner, like truck bed liner. And then I spoke to some experts and they're like, no, do not do that, because truck bed liner, even though it's very strong, it's very good, it's hard and it chips. So obviously there's lots of stones and stuff flicking up underneath cars. And when it does chip, it actually flakes off and chips. This stuff is like a rubberized coating, like obviously not fully rubberized, but it's soft enough that when stones and stuff flick up, it bounces off. It doesn't try to chip it off. So this has been recommended to me. It's actually fairly cheap. Like that's 5 liters and that was on sale for 60 bucks, which is good. And you can get it at Super Cheap Auto. But I've spoken to some guys that have built cars and they said they've used this, and many, many years later, the underneath of the car still looks fantastic. So good enough for them, good enough for me, and literally is just a brush on. So I just got some cheap brushes and we'll get under there and brush it on and probably get high as a kite. So fun times. Anyway, I'm gonna just finish up those last bits, probably off camera, and then we're gonna get stuck into the Easy Foss and the seam sealer. Let's do it. Okay, skip ahead real quick, and I've gone under and treated, rust treated using just a bit of rust converter. Just any of the surface rust areas, you see it's all on my face. It just sprays everywhere. Anyway, I've treated all that. I've knocked off pretty much all the dirt and rust I can with the wire wheels and everything. My arms are killing me, but we got there. Sweet, so now just gonna let that dry for a little bit. It's actually a couple of hours, which sucks. But while that's drying, I think we're gonna do our seam sealer. So where'd you go? Got a brand new tube of Sikflex seam sealer. So I think we'll pop this open, and I'm just gonna probably time lapse this because I don't know how much else you need to see, but just be a matter of getting in every little seam and join and crack and groove. seal this puppy up, and then we're gonna treat it all with the Easy Foss, just lock it in, and then we can do our underbody coating. Obviously I want to try and get it on its wheels this episode, so we're gonna sort of gloss over this pretty quick. Okie dokie, so let's give this a go. So we've got this is the passenger floor pan that I completely replaced, so I need to seal where I obviously joined the new pan to the old one, and this strengthening rib which I remade, so we're going to have to seal all around that. So punch a hole in this, give it a go. Dear God, this is messy. Alright, just sealing up all this repair from inside the firewall. Just going to seal all this up. Oh man, I've skipped ahead a lot because I literally couldn't touch the camera. My other tube of sealant died. I had to cut it open. I had sealant everywhere. I was wearing gloves, but it's gross. Anyway, I ended up sealing pretty much the entire car where it needs to be sealed. So all along this top little seal here, I did both sides. This looks disgusting, but trust me, after I've cleaned it up and sprayed it, you won't even know. And it's all under the dashboard anyway, you're not going to see it. But yeah, all that repair there, so I've sealed all that, little bits over there, and then in the boot, so in the guards in there, both sides, a little bit there on that panel. Yeah, it's everywhere, man. Like little bits when I still had the black. So all in here, and then all underneath the car. So basically all those repairs I did, and anywhere I removed sound deadening, removed sealant, I've redone it, and then I redid inside our splash panel here. Oh God, sorry, there's crap everywhere. Inside here, and it's so hard because now this is all boxed in. It's really hard to get, so I'm using brushes and getting my hands all, my wrists all cut to pieces. I'm trying to get that all sealed because obviously if that's not sealed, the water's going to get in the car. So once this all dries, which according to the Sikaflex website can take days, which sucks, I will pour a bucket of water down there and we'll make sure it all runs out the drain hole and not into the cabin. Because there would be nothing worse than putting this car back together and then all of a sudden I wash it or it rains and I've got water all in my nice new cabin. That would suck. So anyway, we'll let that dry. So we've done all the cleanup, all the rust inhibitor, all the sealant. Now, because we need to let all that dry, I think we should look at all the control components, because this pile over here, oh God, is mainly control components, hubs, all this. This all needs to be cleaned up. So what we'll do is we'll pull it all out. We'll make a nice pile on the floor here. We've already got the bits here that we took out last week, so they need to be done as well. And from there we'll figure out what needs to be sandblasted, what bushes we need to push out and what bushes we need to put in. So let's time lapse this puppy as I clean this pile up. Okay, so that's a bit of stuff, and most of the pile that was over there. So we've got a bit of work ahead of us. Now, people have this romance about sandblasting. There's this magical thing, you put it in there and you just go, and it all comes out perfect. Not exactly the case. Like, it gets clogged up. You obviously get all the junk you knock off there into the sand when the sand needs to be cleaned. A lot of the time, if it's a big flat surface like these exhaust shields here that go under the boot, I'm not going to bother sandblasting them. I'm just going to wire wheel them because I'll get them clean in a quarter of the time. And then we'll give them a bit of, see how the rust goes, and then give them a bit of rust inhibitor and then some etch primer and a spray, and they'll be good. So stuff like that is no point. Where sandblasting does come in handy is like the really tight stuff where you just can't get wire wheels and things in there. So, you know, like a lot of this might be good for sandblaster because I can't get a wire wheel in there. So I'm going to sandblaster in there, give it a clean. Same with, you know, a lot of this stuff's actually not that bad. This is the bit for the handbrakes. They're actually pretty good. So, so yeah, like most of this, I've also got the frame out of the cabin. So that's obviously where the dashboard and the steering column and everything bolts up to. And very gross with surface rust. It's not rusted through, it's just surface rust because they never paint those from the factory, even in modern cars. That's going to need a lot of work. Obviously won't fit in the sandblasting cabinet, so that'll be just wire wheels and brushes outside. But we won't worry about that one for today. Now these shock absorbers are going to be replaced at some point. What I would like to do is go see our friends at Shockworks. Our mate Luke and the boys there, and get a custom set made for this car, and it will make it handle just amazing. But for now, obviously, I don't have. I want to get the car driving and to them so they can, because they fully customize, they build and test, and we'll do a video on that, showing that process because they're really good dudes and they deserve the recognition they get. So, but for now, I'm just going to give these a light clean up. I'm not going to go too nuts on them. Just knock off the surface rust, give them a clean up, give them a spray, and they can go back in the car for now just to get it driving, get it on the road, and then we'll upgrade. But things like the steering rack, I think I'm going to have to get some boots for them because the boots look pretty old. I do have the bushes for it. And I do have these tie rod ends here. I have almost brand new ones here for my friend Dave up the road who's got the K24 powered AW11. And these things are pretty much bloody brand new. So I think when I do the boots, I might stick those on because, yeah, they're fresh. Awesome. Thanks, Dave. What a legend. Well, that's a good way to make a mess. Give this a vacuum up, but I've knocked a lot of the junk off that, so it's a good start. These ones are not playing ball. I have to work something out for them, but I've now run out of batteries. I'm charging my batteries. But even the struts turned out alright, give them a good clean up. Not bad. So most of that's done. I've just got to do the steering rack, the hubs, and then we'll pull these apart and pull the old bushes out of them. Okay, got it off. Whew. So, got there's two bushes there, that one there. And we'll do this arm here when we take the bolts out. So we've got one bush there, and those bushes there, but they're just slip-ons, so they're pretty easy to change. Won't worry about them right now. Let's go and try and press these bushes out. Yeah, get out of there. Oh, no good hydraulic presses. There we go. Oh, push out. And this one is literally just pull it out. I'm going to leave it in there so I remember which one it is. Sick. Next one. Sweet. Alrighty, another one done. I won't bore you with the rest. They're all pretty much like that. Just press them out and then we'll give them a clean up and then we'll press the new ones in. Excitement. Okay, compressor's on. We're going to give these guys a clean up in the sandblaster. Haven't used it in ages, so hopefully it's working. Anyway, let's have a look at them now.
I call you up to 15 times a day. And even if I don't know what to say, I'll buy you silver diamond.
Okay, I put my little Ryobi light in there, which actually helped me see, and yeah, this is all now going back to bare metal where it was really crusty. That's the rusty bits. I didn't concentrate on the non-crusty bits because there's no point, but yeah, definitely a lot better, even though they still look a bit shit. But we'll give them a clean up, give them a nice spray with some epoxy, and they will be good as gold. All right, it's now getting close to the end of the day. Kids are going to be home soon, so we'll wrap it up here, and I think I'm going to, hopefully, I've got Monday off, try and finish this all on Monday. This stuff takes time, guys. Don't trust all those YouTubers who are like, today we're going to do all this. It literally took them like 3 weeks. Anyway, check back on Monday. And just like that is Monday morning. I worked late last night, so I can have today off, so I'm hoping we get all this done today, because on Friday, I'm going to go and help my mate Luke film the livery reveal for his World Time Attack Civic, which is very cool. So I won't be able to do this next Friday. So let's get started today. I've got to plan my day well, because I've got to treat the underneath of the car, and I need to finish cleaning off all our control components and then paint them, get the bushes in, get it all in the car. So it's a lot to do today. And I also need to run down to the part shop, and I want to get some new boots for the power steering rack, because these are harder than rock and pretty crappy. So I'll go and get some boots for that and give this a clean up. I've got new bushes for this too, which is cool. Yeah, let's not talk about it. Let's do it. Okay, to start proceedings today, I'm going to just paint underneath the car, just on the bits where we won't be doing the sound deadening. Just going to use this stuff. It's VHT epoxy paint, so it's designed for control components and underbody. I've had a lot of luck with VHT products in the past. Not sponsored by them, I just think they're actually really good. So we'll get under there, and every bit that we're not going to put sound deadener on, I want to make sure it's black and coated. So we're going to use this first. Let's go do that. Okay, I just went through the whole underneath of the car and sprayed it. So anywhere where there's not going to be sound deadener, and I have used the Easy Foss on the other bits that don't need to be black, because the sound deadener's going over it. Done about a can and a half. I've got 3 cans of that VHT, and it's not easy stuff to get at the moment. I don't know why. So the other can and a half has got to do all that, minus the struts, because we're not going to paint them, because they're just going to get cleaned up and go in. Cool. All right. While that's drying, let's clean the rest of this up, get this sprayed, and then I've got to go down the shops, go get some boots, and go post some Nugget Project orders. Let's do it. I don't think you guys need to see me clean the rest of this. You've already seen enough of that in this video. It's really unexciting. Just wire wheels, brushes, get it clean, and then wipe it down with some wax and grease remover before we paint it. So I'm going to do that off camera, and it should be done around about now. And here we are. Everything is somewhat scrubbed. Man, this has taken hours. Like, I took that last bit of footage about 4 hours ago. We're getting there. So now I've got some wax and grease remover. We're gonna wax and grease everything, clean it all up, and then we can start spraying. I've got to mask off a bunch of stuff. Turns out those boots are actually in really good condition. I flexed them around, they're good. They're just really dirty. So I'll take them off, give them a clean, re-grease the rack, and off we go. Anyway, let's time lapse all this cleaning and all this painting. Okay, so first coat's on, and winter sucks, man. Like, nothing's drying. I've had the heat gun out, and I'm just heating all the parts. I'm just going around, heat, back to the start, heat. Just too freaking cold and too humid. Not a good time to be doing this, but I want to get it done. So anyway, it also makes me think that I'm not going to get the car back on its wheels this episode, because I still need to put all the bushes in. I still need to change out the tie rod ends on our steering rack. I need to clean up those boots, put them back on. There's still a lot to do before I can bolt any of this back up. It obviously needs to be dry. So what we will do is we'll go and we'll put the coating on the underneath of the car, because that's something I can do today. And I think we're going to leave it and let all this cure and dry properly before we put it in the car. We'll probably do that in the next episode. But let's go have a look at the underneath of this car. And I've never used this undercoating stuff before, so it'd be interesting. Okay, so this is undercoating, the Septone body deadener. It has every warning under the sun on this can, like flammable, do not breathe, do not get on your skin, do not use, do not everything. So that'll be interesting. I've got my painting mask here somewhere, I'll put that on. Let's open it and have a look-see. And it is just a brush on, so I've got an old paintbrush that's pretty haggard, so I can go in the bin afterwards. Whoa! Oh my god, it's like tar. I'm guessing I should probably stir it. I'll go for... Oh, Jesus. This is way too big, but you know. Oh my god. Actually, I don't think it needs stirring. I think that's literally it. Oh my god, it's like tar. Oh man. This stuff is nuts. So, the can reckons for the underneath of a normal car, it'll take about 2 litres, and this is a 5 litre tub. So we've got more than enough to get this done. Wow. I reckon in the factory they'll just spray this stuff on, hey? But it should make the ride nice and quiet in this car. Control heat and sound and all that stuff. Oh man, that's a process. Oh, my arm is killing me. But it's done. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, I took my earplugs out so I'm not yelling at the camera. But I have done all inside, all the arches. And the best part about that is, remember all this was all plated and welded? I mean, with that textured sealant in there, it just covers it up. And once that dries, that'll look like the factory sand, and it's unreal. It's just gonna make it look so much better, and it's gonna keep this car a little bit quieter. All under there, all under the front tub. And then, oh, look at that. The entire underneath of the car and up in the fuel tank tunnel. I also did inside the wheel wells and underneath the boot. Now this isn't done from factory, but you know what? I thought, I've got the stuff. If it stops a bit of drumming in the back, let's just do it. And some of you might be like, oh, but it's gonna be heavy and it's a lightweight sports car. That whole tub's like 4 kilos and I've still got a third of it left. So, you know, 2-3 kilos, whatever, who cares? It's a street car, it's not a race car. I want it to be a nice place to be because I want to drive this thing a lot, and if it's really noisy or really annoying, I'm not gonna want to drive it. So by doing this, hopefully I'm just gonna have the noise from the engine, which is what I want to hear, and not the noise from the road, which I don't want to hear. So cool. Well, that is a really big step done. That's the whole underneath of the car done now. That's finished. And now, once all this dries, I still got to do, I got to flip it all over and do the other side. We can put all that together, brand new bushes and rubbers and all that sort of stuff, bolt it all up and get it back in its wheels. I was really hoping to do it this episode, but this is already a very long episode and I'm running out of daylight and I'm not going to be able to get back to this for another week. So put this episode out now, and the next one we will get this thing on its wheels, I promise. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember the MR2 t-shirts are still available. You can hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. Also Nugget Project long sleeve t-shirts, and there are a couple of Nugget Project long hoodies still available. So if you want one of them made, I do have a couple more print sheets. Hit me up and we can get them made because it is bloody chilly at the moment. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.